Hello, good morning, oddities. Recording in process. Yes, recording is in process. It is your host, Jackson and Colton here.
Mhm.
And I think this could be a good episode. Uh, I'm treating it, well, not treating it like a main odd drunk pod episode, but
Yeah,
I feel like it's gonna feel like one in some ways.
in some ways,
I,
yeah.
I have a Guinness
Nice.
right off the bat. Yes, I was day drinking.
So was I. What, what a
What can you do?
coincidence.
Yeah, what a coinkydink.
Right now I'm just
Uh,
drinking some iced tea
no, but
in a
nice.
Gatorade bottle. I made some powder. I had some like the powdered make it yourself iced tea, like the Crystal Light or whatever it is.
With Gatorade?
No, I'm just using a
Oh,
Gatorade bottle
using
because
your
that's
Gate.
what
Okay. Get. I would love a nice steaming hot pot of Gatorade.
that's what I drink every
Some
morning at
Gatorade
work.
with a little bit of
Just pull out the coffee pot and just boil
yeah,
some Gatorade.
yeah. Just run, yeah. Just ruin your new Keurig in the process. Uh, or whatever you're working with. But no, I think this could be a good one because well, you can tell us about it, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want to speak for you.
I've
I mean,
I,
I can, I happily will.
I I've been playing AC Shadows,
Dun-dun-dun. Yes.
and I'm eating
Oh,
jelly beans, so I am gonna spill the beans while eating
haha, but
beans.
so yeah, tell us about Assassin's Creed
Oh,
Shadows.
nice. Um, I'm only like 5 hours in,
All right.
so I can't speak for it like too much yet. But so far, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. It's not blowing me away as like a game of the year contender or
Wait,
anything like that.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a
Cool.
call. Give me one moment.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Just restart for the edit. Five, four, three, two, one. AC Shadows.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Um, so far it's pretty good. The setting's really good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
feudal Japan, right?
yeah. The so far what I can say is that the setting's really good and the gameplay, like the stealth and the combat is really good.
I heard the
Um,
stealth is what really shines.
the
Well,
stealth is, I think it's some of the best stealth in the series. It's the
mhm.
stealth is really good.
You can like go full prone and you're crawling
Yeah.
around and
Yeah, you can go full prone and it works more off of like a system and it's not perfect, but of like you actually have to stick to the shadows, like so like light and like yeah.
roll the credits.
There we go. See you guys next week. Um
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
but it's like so there's not as much like social stealth type of stuff, but it encourages you to be like you're supposed
Sorry,
to be
you're
unseen, you know. Um it's got a grappling hook that you can use and that helps for traversal. And that's pretty fun. One of the cool things you can do is though with the grappling hook is like if you're inside a building, you can hook to the ceiling and crawl up and hide on the ceiling like a ninja. You know,
that's cool. I
you
like
can you
that.
can do stuff like that. So the stealth is really good. The combat's pretty good. It's mostly what you'd expect. Like if you've played like Odyssey, it's
Yeah.
very much like that. But it's pretty good. It's not like Ghost of Tsushima's combat, but it's solid. And the setting's good. And I think like because everyone's wanting to compare it to Ghost of Tsushima, and so far I'm like the difference with the setting is that Ghost of Tsushima is a lot more of a contained, like specific event
Yes,
in Japanese history.
and it's well, people comparing the graphics and stuff. Well, for one, Ghost of Tsushima was end of the last generation on the PS4 and then onto the PS5, the
Yeah.
port. I have the definitive edition or the director's cut edition now on PC. Phenomenal looking game. I mean, it's a beautiful game. The art direction really takes it a long ways.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen with AC Shadows, and one of the best things I've heard about it, other than the stealth, and we'll talk about some of the negatives, and you can bring
hmm
those up as well. I mean, I'm not gonna bash the game you just spent money on that I
Yeah, I
have,
mean, and also
but
I'm
I
only
just
like
want
I
to
said,
clear the air.
I'm only like 5 hours in, and
Uh,
ultimately I heard about some of the negatives, and I'm sure they're there. But at the end of the day, I was kind of like, you know what? I'm a really big
it's a comfort
fan
food.
of the series, and yeah,
It's
they're comfort games.
it's a
So
comfort
I was
game.
like, you know
The
what? I bet I'll like it.
never been
So
high art,
yeah.
but no, I heard the world space is just beautiful,
hmm
well rendered, and just exploring Japan. It's like a condensed Japan
hmm
from what I've heard,
Yeah.
and with the different the seasons change apparently.
Yeah. I'm
Like that
not to
stuff's
that point
awesome.
yet, but yeah. Um,
I love
and
that kind.
just generally, like, I think from what I've experienced so far, the differences between like this and like Ghost of Tsushima, if like you've played one and you're interested in the other, is Ghost of Tsushima is like a very specific snapshot of a specific event that happened at a specific region
And it's like
in
playing through a,
Japanese
a
history, you know.
Kurosawa samurai film.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like a Kurosawa movie. It's the samurai fantasy.
Yeah,
This is the shinobi fantasy. Like, yeah, there is the samurai aspect of it
Yasuke.
because you do have Yasuke. I've not played too much as him yet.
Who's
He's
so yeah, you get the Shinobi
You get Nawe
Nawe, okay.
and Yasuke, and Yasuke is cool. It doesn't really let you play him as him very much at first.
Well, to be
So
honest, I look forward to just playing as Nawe, and I heard
yeah.
one of the and I think maybe if they would have just if they would have just stuck to a more focused story just with Nawe,
hmm
just make it traditional stealth Assassin's Creed across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would alienate some of the new fans, the Valhalla players, and of course they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know it's cool
but
that they committed really hard to having two characters that play so drastically different.
right,
Like Yasuke cannot parkour practically. Like he's
right.
terrible at it. He doesn't do stealth. He doesn't do any of that stuff.
He's just the
Um
big tank combat.
and Nawe is a like goes down in a few hits
Hmm.
type of thing. So they really committed to that, which I respect. But there is a
Uh,
kind of a sense of, did Yasuke really need to be a playable character?
yeah, and
Like,
and the
I mean,
controversy
he's
abound. I
cool. I
mean,
like him,
they could have
but
avoided so much bad PR.
oh, the
Whatever
controversy is
side, yeah,
stupid.
whatever side you
Yeah.
are on that or not is regardless. I'm just saying though, but aside from all that, I think. Well, I look forward when I do eventually grab it. I'm gonna grab it when it goes on sale here in a couple of weeks.
hmm
Maybe it won't be that soon. I heard, the numbers are doing relatively well. It's
Yeah.
getting, you know, generally positive reviews.
People are enjoying it. It's
There's
selling well.
some people, yeah, I heard from some reviewers like Jake Balladino who ultimately didn't recommend it because it
His
was
review
just
was on the
just
harsher
fine.
side, but I mean, so like his
He's like,
review
we need
for
more than just fine.
yeah,
But,
I mean his
you
review,
know,
for example, I thought was a good one to
I felt like
watch
he
because it's
was
like he
uncharacteristically harsh in that.
yeah, he was particularly harsh on it, but he does make a point in his review to like point out he's just like this is just what I expected from the game
Hmm.
and what I felt the game needed to be, and it didn't meet that.
Well, I think
Um,
people were looking for like a new reinvention or like going
yeah.
back to the core stealth elements.
No, at the end
There's
of the
no going
day,
back.
yeah,
It's still
at
the
the end of the day
RPG style.
when I'm playing this, it's like Odyssey.
And I liked Odyssey.
it plays like that. The world feel the way you're running around the world feels like that. Um, it's but it just
And a
has
lot
like
of people liked Odyssey and Valhalla. I think it's
I've
the
yeah
old school Assassin's Creed fans that got turned off when they went
yeah
to the action RPG side of things.
yeah.
Um,
And the other thing that's cool about like this game, if you say played Ghost of Tsushima and you're interested in this, is like I was saying, like Ghost of Tsushima as a setting is like a really specific event in Japanese history that you're playing through on this one specific region.
yeah.
This is more like a overall just snapshot
Yeah,
of
I would.
that
So
era in
maybe if you
Japanese
don't own
history.
any of them, this could be a good one to start with.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
If you want to get
also
your,
depends on like, do you want the samurai fantasy? Do you want the ninja
well,
fantasy?
I mean, in Ghost, you can definitely do the ninja stuff, but it doesn't
This does
lean.
the this does
Um,
the ninja stuff better, I think.
yeah,
Ghost does the samurai
samurai.
stuff a lot better.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
parries and the different sword stances.
yeah, like that stuff's awesome in
And
that
I
game.
like
You can call out your enemies in Ghost and be like, "Come face
what
me,"
I
and all that sort of stuff.
what I love
It's all
about
so cool.
Ghost. It's focused.
Yeah,
You play as Lord Sakai or Jin Sakai, and
hmm
you play as him. He's a katana wielder. Yeah, you'll get the ghost weapons and stuff thrown in and grapple, some things added on top of that. But ultimately, it's a very focused combat system.
yeah,
You get your four different stances, learn your parries, go,
yeah. That game
and
is all about like
the
this is
world is
your
so enchanting.
character,
I feel
and
like it's
this is
a more enchanting stylized vision
yeah,
of Japan of that particular time period, and uh, and I think that works really well in its favor.
yeah,
But it looks like AC Shadows well is also a fantasy game because
yeah.
let's not forget that
It's
Assassin's Creed is about the precursors and the
yeah, it's still a sci-fi
ancient
fantasy type of
alien race and
situation.
whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
but let's not forget that, and that you're time traveling through your DNA with the animus essentially, um, or reliving the memory, the genetic memory.
hmm
But there's been some controversy, of course, and I heard they fixed it in a patch, but you could ramsack and smash up particular shrines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, yeah, very much so pissed off Japan. And they rated
The
a game like the Z rating, which
yeah,
is equivalent to adult here in the
they're
States.
I was playing it and there's side missions at the beginning of the game where you go in where it's like you go and meditate
Hmm.
and you relive a memory like a flashback scene.
Yeah.
Um and one of these was at like a shrine and a message popped up on the screen as I approached the shrine that was like, don't climb on the shrine.
Oh, really?
And I'm maybe it still lets you do it, but it like warns you, and I think all the NPCs get mad at you or something.
Well,
There
and
was a cool moment in one of those flashback scenes. It was like a battle scene, so it's like, it was like the Iga were ambushing an approaching army,
okay.
and it the music in the background switched to like Japanese like punk rock thing,
Okay.
which I did not
I
expect from an Assassin's
I
Creed
heard there
game,
is some
but I
like
was like, cool.
manga stuff in there.
Yeah. I'm
Stylistic,
playing
but
another thing I like that I so far on it is I'm playing on it's called immersive mode, which is all of the characters speak in their native language.
oh, I heard that's the best one.
Yeah.
The
And it's not
English,
and it's not just like you're playing on a Japanese uh dub of the game. It means like when the characters are supposed to be speaking Japanese, they are speaking Japanese. But when the Portuguese characters are speaking Portuguese, they are
right?
speaking
Or if you're
Portuguese. And then when the narrator is speaking to you, the player, they are speaking in English.
that sounds like the best. Yeah, I've heard.
It's
Yeah,
great.
that sounds like the best mode because I heard the English voice lines and I've seen examples of it. It's quite
Yeah.
jarring.
Yeah, it's not the
like
best.
Oblivion level
Not the best voice
almost.
acting in the game, but the
Um,
so far the Japanese voice acting is pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
well, it's like how would we know if it is or isn't?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that maybe has
I
something
guess
to do with it
unless
too.
just the inflection, the inflection of
My
the
I was playing it on I was playing it and my partner came into the room and she was just like, "It sounds like you're watching an anime right now."
yeah, that's cool. Um, but I heard, and what's scary and why I don't want to buy it for full price. For one, I already own Ghost of Tsushima, so if I can
Yeah,
get my fix that way. I also have Sekiro, which is just an action game, but still I can, kind of scratch that itch.
yeah,
And there's just so many options. And yeah, I do want to get it because it looks like a fun game, and I love a big world, and Assassin's Creed, for better or for worse, is a franchise I've grown up with,
hmm
and I look forward to doing the ninja stuff, playing as Naue. Really,
yeah.
that's what gets me excited for it.
And so far, I like her
Um,
as a character. The opening to the game has a pretty good setup. Um, and I mean, I'm sure, and also the other thing I'll say is that so far, at least from what I can tell, there's definitely green flags in the sense of a lot of the problems I had with Valhalla were about how just bloated and unmeaningful all of the content in there is. And it
yeah,
seems like they backpedaled a bit on a lot of that stuff so
I
far.
heard it's still
The
there,
yeah.
but that
I'm
I heard eventually you end up clearing like the same like essentially doing the same thing at every
Yeah.
fortress, just
Well,
running through the
but I'm
motions.
also talking about stuff like in Valhalla, the skill tree was just like instead of
Oh,
having
the skill tree
meaningful
was
skills,
absurd.
it was just like every 20 minutes of gameplay, you unlock a 0.5%
Yeah, I hated
increase on
that.
your they
That was one
ditched
of the biggest turn-offs
they
to
ditched
Valhalla.
that and went back to Odyssey and Origins skill system where you have skill trees of different gameplay styles and each
Right.
one is
Your
like
stealth,
an
your
actual
combat,
perk. So
yeah.
it's supposed to be slower but more meaningful
No, I heard the
progression.
perks are really good actually.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, one of the reasons, and some of the negatives I heard, yeah, I heard the story could be lackluster, especially if you're not in immersive mode.
hmm
If you're just with the English voice lines, like I've heard some of the readings and they sound like they're drunk, like seriously. Um, but I also heard, well, yeah, I just heard it can get repetitive, but I also
hmm
just there's still that, and I don't know, it's something about Ubisoft's approach to these RPG Assassin's Creed games rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
It just feels a little like they build amazing, like beautiful, visually stunning worlds. The combat's good enough. Everything's just good enough.
It's just like the idea of
But I
taking
heard the
taking a
stealth really stands out, so that gets me
yeah.
excited.
Well, it's just like the idea
Um,
of taking a video game series that was not an RPG series
that's
and
what rubs me
forcing
wrong in
it
the
to
first
be an
place.
RPG series
That's I
rather
just
than building a new IP from the ground up that is meant to be an
I
RPG.
yearn, and I don't know if it's ever gonna happen again, unless it's in the form of a remake. Or if it, we'll talk about the sales and player numbers, because everyone's saying, this is the make or break game for Ubisoft. And
Yeah.
no, I don't think they're going under. I think it did good enough in sales. Not like amazing, but, and I think it's got enough of a player base now. It's gotten, like the lowest reviews other than people that are, just like fuck Ubisoft, it's like 7.5s in
Yeah.
general.
People are generally liking it.
But just fine, but I'm glad to hear that you would say otherwise.
I think it's good. I mean, like I said, so far, again, I'm pretty early in the game, so like next time we do morning oddities, I will probably report back because I'll have more time in it. But so far, I'm enjoying it. But also, like, it's not blowing me away like KCD 2 did,
Mhm.
right off the bat. I'm just so far my impressions are like this is fun. I'm enjoying it. I want to play more of it.
So,
But
and the
yeah.
microtransactions are still there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They don't seem like they're
And a
shoving it
single
down your
player
throat
game.
super much, but
No, but something about Ubisoft, yeah, they just rub me the wrong way. When I get the microtransaction, the time saver one, it's
oh
like
yeah.
don't bloat your game.
Yeah.
Like give us something that can be done in 40 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
the
I mean
story,
I mean that is something that I will say I've heard people say the story in this can be run through in about 35 to 40 hours.
I think that's good.
Maybe double that if you want to do all the side content.
Yeah, if you're exploring every nook and
It's
and leave that to player choice.
yeah, it's
But like with
it's
Valhalla, it
oh yeah.
force bloated it. It
Mhm.
forced you to do 100 hours just to beat the
I
story.
I in
Because you have to
Valhalla
grind.
forced myself to play 90 hours of it. And I because it tells you on your save file how much
Yeah,
time you put
yeah.
into it. And over the course of a year, and I mean this wasn't at one time, but over the course I kept every few months coming back and playing a little bit of it, trying to
It
progress the
just feels like a
story.
chore.
And I played it at a normal pace, like I did some side content, but I didn't have like a check. I didn't do the checklist, like do all of it sort of thing, like a
Hmm.
normal player. And I didn't. I still haven't beat. I never beat Valhalla.
Right. Yeah, that's no good.
Like
Uh,
it's
but yeah,
ridiculous.
honestly, the worst thing that scared me off from buying it full price, waiting on a sale. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Like, I'm not trying
Mhm.
to take that away. But the worst thing I've heard, other than like the story, but immersive mode sounds good. But I've heard multiple reviewers, and I think even Jake Baldino say this, and I trust him, but say that it feels like a podcasting game. Are you know what I mean? And I do this on Rivals. Like when
Yeah.
I'm right now I'm grinding Scarlet Witch to get to Lord status because I got Lord Storm, close to
Uh.
Lord Iron, yeah, etc. And I'll put on a podcast or put on some music while I play, but that's enjoyable because it's a multiplayer game. That's just the grind.
Yeah.
But when it's a single player game, and then you tell me that you feel the need to distract yourself from it because
Yeah.
the missions feel repetitive and you're only 5 hours in, so that maybe that hasn't
Mhm.
sunken in yet, or maybe you know it is satisfying enough stealth, or even if you're clearing a similar fortress, if the stealth's implemented well, I could still see that being engaging,
Yeah. No.
regardless
Yeah.
if you're just
I could totally
you
see
know
that. It's
checking
it's
off the same list.
and it's not like
uh,
it's not one of those games that's going to, and especially if you've played these before. If you've played Valhalla and Odyssey and Origins, if you've played Ubisoft open world games in general, you'll probably start playing this and the familiarity will set in and it'll become a game that you can totally just put on some music in the background or a podcast in the background and just turn your brain off and start playing. Um,
mhm.
which I mean, that's not necessarily like a terrible thing. Doesn't make it a bad game. But also like it doesn't maybe it's not like as immersive as something like Ghost of Tsushima because Ghost of Tsushima is the type of game where it wants you to turn off all the distractions and focus on the game.
Mhm.
And maybe this game doesn't quite do that. But it's good so far.
um
I'm enjoying it.
yeah, I'm just scrolling through the reviews, and I'm gonna give this one a quick go over. This is okay. Posted March 23rd, 23.5 hours on record. Um, an early non-toxic review. Okay, we'll see if that remains true. An early non-toxic review of someone who actually plays the game. Pros, beautiful graphics and lighting. The environment is a huge step up from previous titles.
Yeah,
Nowadays gameplay is really solid. Combat system is by far the best one yet among the RPG games.
yeah,
Nowadays weapons feel really good. Stealth works. I like that. That's one of the pros.
Yeah, because
Stealth works.
Valhalla pissed off
Oh
a
yeah, it had
lot
like
of
no
players
stealth.
because the stealth just doesn't work.
No.
Like it's the worst
It
stealth in the
discourages
series.
stealth. It
Yeah, it
discourages it.
yeah.
Um, Interesting progression system, good animations. There's some interesting quest. Oh, the hideout. The I heard that's a cool system. It's
Oh
like a
yeah.
Sims
Yeah, you can like place
builder.
you actually like place the buildings and everything like that and upgrade them like that. So it's pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're running it on the Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, how is it
So
running?
it got verified on the Steam Deck and um people tested it pretty quickly to realize that this one actually is they're justified
Mm.
in verifying it. It works really well. Um I'm running it capped at 30 FPS, but it can do more than that. It can
I mean,
do
that's the console experience,
yeah,
pretty much.
it can do 40 easily,
Hmm.
but I'm capping it at 30 just to get a really
Better
consistent
visuals.
um
Good
what they
stuff.
did though on the Steam Deck is the Steam Deck actually runs a version of the game that they tailored specifically for the Steam Deck. So when you download it on Steam,
Mhm.
when Steam detects that you're playing on a Steam Deck, it will adjust the visual settings to be specific to the Steam Deck,
Right.
and you cannot adjust them
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean,
um
it's got
after
to be
that.
able to run.
And actually like they like you can't get those settings on a regular PC unless you go into the Steam settings and
Okay.
tell your PC that you're actually running it on a Steam Deck.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, and generally it's one of them. I mean, it's way more polished and optimized than Valhalla was at launch, like
Yeah.
by a long shot. And yeah, like Ubisoft went through some extra steps to make sure that it ran playably on the Steam Deck, and
Hmm.
it's I've had no problems with it.
Moving on to the cons of this TO on Steam. Um, and I'm gonna hear your thoughts. I'm just gonna go through it. Writing is abysmal and one of the worst ones on the franchise. Thoughts? Thoughts?
I think it's fine. Um,
You think that's a
I, I
hyperbole?
again, I'm still pretty early in the game. And also playing on the with the Japanese dub
Hmm.
maybe makes any bad writing not feel as bad because I'm
Right.
just listening to like it's like playing an anime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but it's like so far it's fine. I do know that, and it introduces it pretty early on. The main story revolves around like in Odyssey, you have the Cult of Cosmos.
Hmm.
It gives you like the list of people you have to hunt down.
Yeah.
That's the entire story.
Okay.
It just takes that section that was in these previous games and it says, let's just take that and build the entire story around that, which is one of the reasons why it gets repetitive because it's just
Yeah.
you're hunting targets the entire
Then.
time. But at the same time, also it is a little bit more focused. So
Mhm.
pros and cons there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
Uh. Yeah. The
yeah.
next con he has is the main story is the same cliche, overused revenge story that we've seen hundreds of times.
Hmm.
Um.
Yep. Yep.
Next con, and I.
It's the Ezio story.
Okay. Yeah.
It's dad dies, get revenge.
Hmm. Straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
So,
That's
next con, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. The world is dead. Zero interactivity with the player whatsoever.
I disagree with that. Um, at least at the stage I'm at, there seems to be at least just as much interactivity as like the previous RPG games had, which wasn't much.
Yeah,
I mean, you've played Odyssey. Odyssey, you can't like
it's surface
interact.
level
Yeah, it's all very surface level. You can't like interact with people unless you're getting a quest from them,
quest,
you
quest
know.
button.
So like so I
Yeah.
guess it depends on your standards. I think that's true.
Hmm.
Not a ton of
Well, it's an
interactivity,
action RPG.
but at the same time, if
The
you've played
stealth
the
action though.
previous games, you might
It's
expect that.
not gonna be
So
a shocker.
yeah,
Next one. While the faces are good, the cutscenes are just bad. Okay, well that's not, there's no good criticism there. I mean, next X. Okay, I want to hear you on this.
hmm
Exploration is non-existent. Every town you enter feels the same, and you just loot stuff for your hideout.
I'm not far enough in the game to really speak to
Okay.
the different regions and stuff. What they do in the game,
Uh,
the default mode is you don't have the eagle anymore that
I
you can
like that.
scout with.
Strip it down.
You have eagle vision, and it
Hmm.
forces you. You have to get to a high point yourself.
I like that.
And actually, it still like has like you can focus in, kind of like how you could with the eagle and like
Hmm.
tag enemies. You can still do that, but you have to do it yourself
I like
from a
that.
high vantage point. Um, and there is a system in the game which some people think is kind of unnecessary, but it's like you have from your hideout, you have scouts
Hmm.
who will like it doesn't tell you, the game won't tell you exactly where your next objective is. It'll tell you, oh, it's in this region, it's to the west, it's near this landmark, but it won't tell you exactly.
Hmm.
But you can use your scouts in the map and like highlight a region, and they will
That's cool.
help you kind of narrow down your objective.
That's cool.
Which I don't know. I'm mixed on that system, but it's fine.
And then last one here, and it just sounds this guy is a stealth Assassin's Creed purist from this remark. Yasuke doesn't belong in this game, and I mean that gameplay wise. Naue
Yeah.
should have been the only protagonist. And, you know, I argue maybe Naue should have been the only
Maybe,
protagonist.
yeah.
I think that would have
That's
pleased a lot of the old school
the
fans
problem with
if we got a
Yasuke
strictly.
is just that he feels very like
He's
he's
for the
cool.
Valhalla players.
Like Yasuke's cool. I think he's a cool character and he is
Yeah.
fun to play as and he's satisfying. Like he's freaking massive.
Yeah, yeah.
He can knock down doors and stuff like that
Yeah.
and tear through enemies. He's very cool and he's an interesting character. But the game, because like it's an Assassin's Creed game, it's an open world game. You need to be climbing on shit. You need to be running around. You need to be able to use stealth. Yasuke feels very much like he didn't need to be a playable character.
Yeah, like I said, I
Like,
think it's they just threw him in to satisfy the Valhalla players.
yeah, he could have just been a character you interact with in the game.
Right.
Not that I think it's bad that he's there.
Hmm.
Like he is fun to
It
play
should
as,
have just
but
been like when you run into a historical figure and you do a side quest with them, maybe give
yeah.
them a DLC
Yeah.
or something where you get to play. But I heard the. Do you feel like you are you forced? Do you have freedom on who you play?
I'm not far enough in yet to like speak to that too much. From what I understand,
Yeah.
what I've seen is with the exception of a few missions here and there, you can just play as whoever you want whenever you want. But the game, just because of the nature of the open world, does really reward you for playing as Nawe more.
No, I look forward to playing as Naue.
Because it's like
And this
Yasuke can't like
assassin
parkour
character in
and shit
Assassin's
like that,
Creed.
and he's slow. It's just like
Yeah.
the world doesn't it doesn't reward you for taking your time and when
Is it as
exploring.
satisfying as like a samurai experience? Is something like Ghost of Tsushima?
I think if you want the samurai experience, play Ghost of
It's go
Tsushima.
yeah,
Yeah, like easily.
I would agree.
Not that Yasuke is not fun to play as, but
Hmm.
if this is a game where you played Ghost of Tsushima and you want to play the ninja route, the ghost route or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you thought that it could have been a little bit better.
Hmm.
Like if you played
Well,
that and
dude,
you felt that they like
I think the
if you
Assassin's Creed Shadows Killers coming out this year goes to Yotai,
goes to yeah.
Yote, which is the new Ghost of Tsushima game.
hmm
It's in a different time. I think it's like in late 1700s or early 1800s. I forget which.
Ah, like before the Meiji Restoration.
Yeah. So there's like some gunpowder, there's some
Yeah.
enemies with like flintlocks and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Um, but I mean, it looks great. I mean, and the fact that it's being developed for this generation and not like a past generation being ported over, like I imagine Sucker Punch
Yeah.
is going to do a great
I mean,
job.
I
Uh,
think with AC Shadows, the ultimately the reason to play this game is if you like Assassin's Creed anyway,
yeah, which
and you like
I've
feudal
had a.
Japan settings anyway,
Mhm.
and you want to play as a ninja.
Well, and I
If you
another
check off those three marks,
yeah.
then you'll probably at least enjoy the game at least
Uh,
a bit.
and there's
And
another game I've been looking at that's scratches the same itch.
uh,
Similar type of game, Rise of Ronin by Team Ninja.
right, yeah,
I heard like the actual gameplay mechanics are great, like the combat and the you get like a glider and whatever, but like the exploration is cool and it's a cool time period. It's in that Edo period.
yeah,
Um, but it looks like butts, like for
yeah,
a modern game. Like it is not a good looking game. And I'm sure the PC version with DLS or mods perhaps
yeah,
would look good, but it is not. It's a very last gen looking game, and not even like a good last gen looking
yeah,
game.
like
Uh,
early PS4.
yeah, early PS4. But I heard the game, like I heard it's a good game.
Yeah,
It's just
I've heard it's good too.
dated, and
Yeah.
it's visually dated, which is something. It's shallow to judge a game on that way. But unless a game has a particular art style or it's like an 8-bit indie thing, like a retro
Hmm.
thing. Yeah, there's a standard now that we kind of expect.
Yeah.
uh, but and it sounds like, and I've been curious about that game, but it sounds like AC Shadows will be the next one I get to scratch that itch to
I
get a
mean,
full open world.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it's
the
good, and like I said, I think the setting is really well done in
yeah
it. And unlike Ghost of Tsushima, this feels more like a general snapshot of like a wider representation
yeah
of feudal Japan versus Ghost of Tsushima is a
just a
lot more
very specific.
specific.
What's the specific?
Um,
Very specific.
so it's a different take on it.
Uh,
And ultimately, I mean, I'm not going to recommend the game if you don't like any of the previous Assassin's Creed games. Like if you didn't like Origins and Odyssey, you're not going to like
it's
this
still
probably. Like
that.
it's still that. Yeah, it's just I think a
And
little bit better gameplay than that.
I would have
And
loved to just get another. And Mirage kind of tried to do this, but it's still the RPG style
mm,
Assassin's Creed. But I would love, and I don't think it's ever going to happen unless
yeah,
it's a remake or something. But I would love to see just you're an assassin in a city
mhm,
doing
yeah,
parkour
yeah,
and just a traditional,
yeah.
no RPG, no levels, no
No,
like
no
none of
levels, just
that.
none of
Go
yeah,
back to the
just
basics.
like
Free flow, the kind of counter free flow combat.
yeah.
You know,
I want I want that again, but
that's optimally what we're
yeah.
yearning for.
But I mean,
Um,
but if you like the stealth
but if
stuff, this game
yeah,
does it. And let's be honest,
the stealth looks good.
the ninja setting is perfect for Assassin's Creed. I mean,
Yeah, it's
the
what we've been
entire
begging for.
the entire
And Sucker
cons
Punch, no pun
the
intended, beat them to the punch.
yeah.
Uh, they
The
sucker
entire
punched
concept,
Ubisoft and released the Assassin's Creed game that people have wanted for a
yeah.
long time before Ubisoft did it.
And this one
And
does take cues from Ghost of Tsushima. It totally
of course
borrows
it
stuff.
does. I can
But
see
that's okay
that.
because Ghost of Tsushima borrowed from Assassin's Creed.
Well, yeah, just
Uh
iterations
but
on
I mean like
similar
the
ideas.
entire Assassin's Creed IP has always just been what if ninjas but
Yeah,
pirates?
yeah,
What if ninjas but ancient
Italian.
Egypt? But Italian. And this one's just what if ninjas but ninjas?
Just right. Yeah, just begging for that. Um, Anyways, I think that's enough on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I plan on picking it up at some point when it goes on sale or something. Um, but right now it's
Also
just
Norway has a lot of really cool outfits.
yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool
Norway's
ninjas.
very cool looking character.
No, yeah, Nawe's definitely giving me my key because that's what I want out of an Assassin's Creed game,
Yeah.
and I want a stealth. And speaking of this, I'm gonna mention something else: a stealth open world action game What game has done that the best?
Phantom
MS,
Pain.
yeah, Phantom Pain.
Phantom Pain did it the best.
It's
Yeah.
$20, $20 on Steam, the definitive edition,
Hmm.
and that's just the price.
And you can run it on a potato these
Yeah,
days. Like
and it
it's
still holds up graphically,
yeah,
and just the every option it gives you, the whole toolbox, it's a stealth sandbox.
yeah.
And
It's
but with all the weird, crazy Kojima storyline
yep.
stuff, all the Metal Gear stuff you would expect,
Yeah. Yeah.
and cool set pieces and things like that. But it is one of my favorite games of all time. It came out in the year of our Lord 2015.
Oh, Jesus.
10th
T-
anniversary coming up. I don't
Ah,
know exactly when it came out.
ah,
But we're getting Snake Eater again, the new Snake Eater. Um, got delayed, but
20,
that's coming out in
20.
August.
I gotta know
Um,
exactly what time of
I
the year it
think it
came
was
out.
20. But another game that came out 10 years ago to this, or maybe tomorrow. By the time we release this, 10 years ago to this day, I think. Bloodborne.
Oh yeah.
And us Bloodborne fans have been neglected.
September
Okay.
1st, 2015 is when Phantom Pain.
Oh, so,
So
and I think Delta is coming out around that time. That'll be good timing.
yeah.
And I know we got a 20th anniversary DLC, or like free
I just
DLC for the new God of War.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
but
always I just always remember that Phantom Pain released on the same day as the Mad Max game,
oh yeah, and that
and
killed the Mad Max
that
game.
killed the Mad Max game. That's a good game.
Yeah,
Check it out sometime. It's
no,
it's worth
it looks fun.
if you like the Mad
Uh,
Max IP, it's
but
worth it. But yeah, it
uh,
came out on the same day as Phantom Pain, which is probably the
with
worst release date they could
yeah,
have possibly gone
uh,
with.
with all these rumblings of remakes, with the Oblivion remake that could possibly coming out next month, according to Nate
Bethesda
the
did,
Hate.
as of recording this today,
Was
post
it
on Twitter.
the
They or X now. They
yeah, yeah,
posted stay tuned tomorrow.
announcement?
Yeah, something.
Maybe not Oblivion.
Maybe, yeah. Not saying it's Oblivion.
And I also heard, and I kind of would like if we just, like you've said before in the past, just a good port with, enhancements, uncapped frame rates, and
That's
high
what I want.
resolution,
Yeah.
and
I
with,
just
some
I
gameplay,
just want I just want a
quality of life
remastered version
things.
of Oblivion
Because
that's fixed.
I
Just
think,
fixed.
I think Bethesda would do well with that, but would, are, because Bethesda's not really in the market now. Yeah, they could have another remake developer do it. Um, which could have been in the works. But Sky Oblivion might be like the actual remake of Oblivion that people have wanted. And
Yeah.
then maybe Bethesda's just going to release the optimized port of the original Oblivion.
I
So
mean,
then you can
yeah.
get the original experience
Yeah.
and then have the glossy Sky Oblivion one,
Yeah.
which would be an interesting dynamic. But we shall see. But no, with all the remake rumblings and all the remakes that have been happening, for a while now, we did a whole episode on it. But these recent remakes where you're taking a beloved game and you're bringing it into the next generation. Um, Bloodborne
Yeah.
doesn't even need a remake. It doesn't
No.
even need a remaster. Just a
Just
PC
just a
port
PC port.
with
Yeah.
uncapped frame rate and high resolution.
It's all anyone wants from it.
And
They're
let
just like,
modders, if you want to hire textures and whatever, let modders take care of that. But just a PC
yep.
port. But Sony hates that game, even though it's one of their best exclusives ever.
Yeah. They
Some would
they
argue it is. It
they
was the best
they
PS4 exclusive, in my
for some
opinion.
reason Sony treats it
And
like the ugly duckling, like they don't.
there's no, and Miyazaki, when asked about Bloodborne not too long ago, it was like, well, I don't own it. I can't do anything with it. From Software can't do anything with it without Sony
Ah,
on board. There's been a glimmer of hope and some whispers, but a glimmer of hope, and their 30th anniversary celebration. they did show a shot of Bloodborne,
Ooh,
and it didn't look like vanilla Bloodborne.
ooh,
It looked, you know, high res and fancy. Uh,
ooh,
so there's
ooh.
been a glimmer,
All
and
the all
what
the
the
FromSoft fans just see one snapshot and are just like
just
drooling
foam
at
at the
the
mouth,
mouth.
yeah.
Yeah.
But but yeah, just a port would be
Yeah.
great. You could just port the game, and there was a modder who made a 60 FPS patch for a jailbroke PS5s that was taken down. Had a
Oh,
DMCA takedown, and now I mean, yeah, the emulation I heard is actually really good now. If you can find a safe or jailbreak your PlayStation, which I'm not gonna go through the trouble of. I'll just play the original Bloodborne with, yeah, 30 FPS. But there is a way if you can get the Bloodborne PKG file
mhm.
and with the Shad PS4 emulator, you can play Bloodborne. And I heard it runs surprisingly well, and it's getting better and better. You can play Bloodborne on PC, uncapped frame rate, or a solid 60 FPS frame rate with resolution settings for whatever monitor you're using. There's mods on Nexus for like there's even a Bloodborne remaster mod which ups certain textures and makes the lighting and like adds shaders and make it look a little bit more modern, but still not bloat the actual game and for the emulation. And I'm telling you, I would spend 60, $70 if they just said, okay, Bloodborne's on PC now, uncapped frame rate, high resolution, but that could be the only things they did to the game, and I would buy it again in a heartbeat. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, I but Demon Souls gets a fancy remake.
but not
And then
not Bloodborne.
Bloodborne's just sitting. Hell, even Dark Souls remastered. It's essentially just you know, Dark Souls with all the DLC and all the patches and higher resolution and uncapped frames.
Yeah.
You could do the same
Just
exact thing for imagine doing the same exact thing for Bloodborne, and then also throwing it on the Switch, throwing it on PC, on the Switch 2, perhaps.
yeah. Yeah.
That would be such a high selling game, and it would reignite people's get people back into it, people that didn't play it, that didn't have a PS4 at the time, or and we're just begging for that. And it's the 10th anniversary approaching, like in a day or
They
two, or maybe even today.
they gotta.
um it's it's just astounding. No sequel, rumblings, no. But yeah, I would love nothing more
Yeah, March
than
24th.
yeah.
Yep,
So
2015.
tomorrow, or as of this episode release,
Maybe they'll
um,
maybe they'll do what you speculated on the with the Oblivion one is they'll
just a shadow drop it,
shadow drop it with with something crazy like the Switch 2.
dude. Just imagine that. Imagine
Dude,
playing Bloodborne on your Steam Deck.
oh dude, yeah.
Like, oh my God.
They'll
And
they'll they'll
just that
they'll
game with 60 FPS,
the
if it was running
the
smooth without all
announcement will
the
just be like
stuttering.
a snapshot in the trailer for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
That'll just
It's
be it.
you know what? It's possible. It is. And the fact that they've taken down patches and you have all these people emulating, like, why take down a patch for a game that you have not been supporting or doing anything with for basically since the old Hunters DLC came out? Um, why? Why, and also making it harder and harder to find any good safe ROM on it without, getting, yeah, definitely. If you're trying to get Bloodborne on your PC and get the PKG file, definitely use a VPN.
Ah,
Definitely have all your antivirus
speaking
software
speaking of
going.
speaking of
You don't want all
Bloodborne,
that.
there's an article from a couple days ago that Bloodborne Master completes world's first no leveling dance pad run
Of
of
course.
Bloodborne
That's amazing.
after doing it with Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring.
Or like I beat Bloodborne with a Guitar Hero controller,
Yeah,
so
this
stupid
is
like that.
a uh
But no, Sony they'll give us remasters of Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, which, good games, but they are not close to the masterpiece that
yeah.
was Bloodborne. And I plan on visiting it again regardless
They're gonna force
for the 10th
Spider-Man
anniversary.
2 to
Right.
run on the Steam Deck.
And oh, I've tried it. I have my report,
Yeah,
okay? Yeah, it can technically run on the Steam Deck,
technically.
but it's gonna be a pixelated blurry mess. I've tried everything. Low settings with DLSS, and a VSync, all that. Or not DL, whatever their proprietary thing is. Um, and no. Yeah, technically you can do it,
Yeah.
but the game is gonna look like a hot uh piece of crap.
See that's why people t
Pixelated.
that's why people
Every
made sure
anytime
to
you move,
test AC Shadows on the Steam Deck before like everyone
and that's
confirmed it was
Steam Deck
verified.
verified.
Yeah, because
Uh,
there are games out there that are verified on the Steam Deck that
that's a good
shouldn't
example.
really be verified.
And then you have a game that is unknown or doesn't have a verification, like Batman Arkham Origins
Yeah.
runs flawlessly,
Yeah.
and it looks good because that game holds up.
Yeah.
And you can run it with all the upscaling and everything, and that is kind of like playing a remastered version of it. It looks way better than it did on PS3,
Yeah. There's a
or
bunch of games that are like
um
tech that are not verified that just run great on the Steam
yeah.
Deck. Um,
Uh, but another game I wanted to
Technically
give a
the only Bethesda game that's verified is Skyrim.
Skyrim. Yeah,
Well, maybe Fallout 4 is now.
I think it is.
But like
Uh,
Oblivion and is not verified on the Steam Deck, but it runs just fine.
right.
Like
Uh, which is actually shocking. But a game I wanted to give a shout out to, and then I wanted to mention a couple other things aside from game news and games.
mhm.
But uh, and this is Ubisoft, and I think it's one of their best things they've done in a long time. Um, uh, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Oh
Came
yeah,
out like
yeah.
a couple years ago at this point. I heard about it. I
I
heard it was
think
good on the
last year is
Switch.
when it came
Like
out.
last year, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it was good on the Switch, and I saw the PS4 version, and then now it's got the PC port, and they can play it on Steam Deck, and it's perfect for the Steam Deck. And I can run it at 90 FPS on the Steam Deck, but I just keep it at solid 60 so I don't get any dips whatsoever.
Yeah.
And great art design and everything, but it's just a phenomenal Metroidvania and has some of the best combat mechanics I've seen in a Metroidvania,
Nice.
like the pairing and combos and like any little different movement, and like it's just great. And like it's
Nice.
got all the exploration that you would expect in a Metroidvania, and like you can do like snapshots of certain areas that like you don't have the abilities to get to yet. You take a
Mhm.
snapshot here in the map, and then you can revisit it
Oh,
once
nice.
you unlock certain abilities. And it's got kind of the story, is just kind of there, but
Your standard fare for a Prince of Persia game.
yeah, but the combat mechanics and like it will zoom in and do like cool cinematic shots on like perfectly timed parries,
Oh,
and
nice.
like boss fights are very cinematic and like anime. And no, it's just a hell of a time. And it's a shame I've slept on it this long, but definitely get it on the Steam Deck. It's or on the Switch even, but on Steam Deck would be the best because you can run it at 60. But yeah, phenomenal game
Hell yeah.
with just a good art style, fun combat and exploration. I happen to really like Metroidvanias,
Yeah.
and it just yeah, it's just really well done. That along with and another Metroidvania I mentioned before, Nine Souls,
Uh-huh.
uh, which is kind of the Sekiro of Metroidvanias, which is cool. Um, with the parries and whatnot. But um, but yeah, it's a great time. That's a Ubisoft game I would recommend.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
now, uh, but aside from gaming stuff, and we'll wrap this up soon. I recently, well, in real life, I had a Sonoran hot dog today.
Oh,
Um, and I went to
oh,
this place, La Pasaditas
that
in
sounds so
Phoenix,
good.
and just this little hole in the wall place. And they have this chili. It's basically like a almost like a chili relleno hot dog. The
Yeah.
hot dog wrapped in bacon with like shredded mozzarella wrapped in that, and then also shoved in a like a chili relleno pepper, a poblano, and then mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard,
Mm.
avocado, like the works.
Oh yeah.
Diced tomatoes, onions,
That sounds
beans,
so
and
good.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fork and knife hot dog.
Yeah.
Especially that version. Like a regular one is messy, but you can do it. But the one I had is just like a pile of stuff just on a hot dog and on the Bolillo bun.
Mm,
And
yeah. Yeah.
great.
Mm.
I enjoyed that.
God, that sounds so good.
Yeah, yeah. If you're ever down, I'll take you there.
Yeah.
But uh, so shout out to La Pasaditas. You can check them out on TikTok and whatnot. Uh, um, but I, anyways, I recently watched last night the Heretic, or it's just Heretic, I believe, with Hugh Grant and
Yeah. It's that's like a is that a horror movie?
so yeah, it's a horror movie, and basically these two uh, they're from the Church of Latter-day Saints, aka the Mormon Church,
Yeah.
and they're going door to door, just asking people if they know about the word of Jesus Christ and everything.
Yeah.
Like as Mormons
As
do,
Mormons do. Yeah.
knocking door to door and handing out pamphlets. And well, they show up to Hugh Grant's house, and they end up he ends up inviting them in, and they have lots of good philosophical conversations about religion and the institutions around it and the various iterations of similar you have Christianity, but then you have Judaism, and then you have Islamic religion, which is all
Yeah.
worshiping the same God, but has various different beliefs on who's the Messiah or not, and like all these different things, and now it's iterations of the same thing, but what's the truth? What's the original? Like the
Yeah.
things like that. And and then he ends up having him kind of go through like a Stanley Parable situation in his house where the front door is locked and they want to leave, and he's like, "Yeah, you're free to leave whenever you'd like, but you have to go out the back." And then there's a purple door and a green door, and then he goes on another philosophical conversation with him. Well, threatening them, well, vaguely threatening them because he's not letting them out of his house. He's gonna put them through this whole puzzle and this philosophical, religious, theological puzzle, and he presents, he's like, well, we have Monopoly, but that's not the original. You have the Landlord game, came out in 1904, and then it was copied, but the original maker of it didn't get any credit. And then you have all these different iterations of Monopoly, and he compares that to the different, to
Yeah.
Book of Judah, then the Holy Bible, then the Quran, and then he says, the final one. Then you have the fun zany offshoot, and he brings out Bob Ross Monopoly, and then he equates that to the Book of Mormon. He was like, "That's the fun zany offshoot that came out way after everything else." Um, which insults him, but it's just funny how he presents it, and then he talks about all the different depictions of the chosen one, comparing it to Jesus like throughout different religions and different mythologies.
Yeah.
And then he even goes as far, and this is something people have said in many a video essay. He goes as far as to compare it to Episode One, The Phantom Menace, how Anakin's born of a virgin mother. He's
Yeah.
the chosen one. He's definitely that Christ figure, the
Right.
Messiah figure of Star Wars. And but I love all those bits, and Hugh Grant just he carries the well. The actresses are great too, are good too in their roles as these just unassuming, Mormon missionaries who end up becoming victims to this madman,
Is
this
it so the movie is just
uh,
what some Christians think that what would happen if they knocked
of a
on an
philosopher,
atheist doors?
a philosopher's doors, perhaps. But but then obviously it ends up getting harrowing, and he's like putting their lives in danger, and a lot happens. Topher Grace is in it for a
Oh,
bit. He's a elder,
nice.
a Mormon church elder, I guess.
Oh,
And he's looking for him because he's like they should have been back by now.
yeah.
And Hugh Grant tells, oh, he hasn't seen them, da, da, da. and um and it's just British Hugh Grant, by the way, just charming British Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
And Topher Grace is like, oh well, that's a shame. I'll try the next house.
Would,
But then he
would,
comes back, and you think he's gonna have a hero moment where he's like, "No, I know I have a pinged location. I know the girls are here. You're lying to me." But no, he comes back and he said, "I would be remiss if I didn't offer you one of our pamphlets."
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. So it has a lot of funny moments, and I think some good like philosophical, arguments in there, and they have a back and forth. But then there's murder,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
of course.
It'd be really
But
funny if Hugh Grant was just playing Hugh Grant.
I mean, I think it what he basically does. I think I think it would have been interesting, and the film almost felt like it was going this way, where he was just giving them this philosophical, like ideological test of like intellect and ideas, and making arguments on religion and theology, and that they would just get out once they otherwise convince him
Yeah.
that their religion's true, that there's a God, etc., or that he convinces them otherwise. And it almost goes that way,
Yeah,
where
and then
there's like
murder.
he's no physical threat. It's just you're stuck with like a retired philosophy professor that
Uh-oh. Yeah.
puts you through a Stanley Parable style puzzle room, like escape room situation. But yeah, then there's murder.
And then there's
Uh, but no, it was great. I enjoyed it.
nice.
Um,
I'll have to check that one out.
yeah, it's a
Sounds
good
like
one.
something I would enjoy.
Um, another last week I think I mentioned it in our last episode, and it kind of went it I don't think it did well, but it looked fun. It was fun. I saw Novocaine with
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jack Quaid,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean he's just an assistant manager at a credit union that gets thrown into this like uh crime situation, and he's gonna save the girl of his dreams, and yeah, he can't feel pain,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's the movie, and it's just him doing quips, and then slow throughout the film mutilating himself, uh very situations like glass gets broken on the floor, and he just punches the glass, and then he punches the guy with glass in his embedded
Oh,
in his hand, things like
jeez.
that. There's a torture scene where he's pretending to like scream and be like, ow, like you got me. But then the guy starts pulling each of his fingernails out, and that was quite uncomfortable and unsettling to watch.
I
Do
don't
not
like
like that
that.
kind of thing.
I don't like that
And
type of
then
thing.
and then he gets to the part where he's like, okay, the last thing I like to do with my victims is cut their eyes out. And uh he's like, oh no, actually don't do that. Don't, please don't do but but no, it was it was a fun romp. And
Nice.
they showed the trailer to Ballerina, the John Wick
Oh,
Ana de Armas movie.
yeah, yeah. I
And
forgot that was a
yeah,
thing.
they show Keanu in it in the trailer.
Nice.
which I think this is a prequel, like while he's still operating as the Baba Yaga, like as John, like before
Right.
they shoot his dog in it, when he's still just an assassin before the
Like
revenge quest.
when they ask him before they ask him to do that the
The
impossible task.
Which I would love to see them do a prequel movie of that,
That would be cool. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but you know, it looks good, it looks
Hell yeah.
fun. I and it, you know, all the action beats look like it's gonna have similar choreography and style as the John
Nice.
Wick movies.
Yeah.
So that's always good,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
I'll definitely have to watch
Um,
that when it comes out.
Anything else you want to touch on? You want to touch on?
Um, Nothing we haven't touched on in the previous episode. I'm behind on Daredevil right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm on episode behind,
I
I think.
I think they're about to release two episodes at once this week.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that'll give me some
I I
watching material
I
then.
think so, and I think it's about to get into some action.
Nice.
And I'm sure you've seen the promos, but yes, John Bernthal returns as Frank Castle,
Yes.
and yes, it's good.
Yeah.
And yes, he almost refused to return in the series with the previous showrunners when, you know, it was going to be bad. He was like, "No, I am not going to be in this. This is not the right. This is not Frank Castle to
Yeah.
me. You're going to ruin the character." But no, and then obviously that's when eventually Kevin Feige stepped in and was like, "Nope,
Yep.
we're yeah, you're fired. We're gonna make something good, actually. We're gonna just bring back some of the previous directors and showrunners and choreographers of the Netflix series and just
I
do a continuation of that rather than a weird soft reboot
I like
where it's mostly just a law procedural and you know, just make
I
it
imagine it like Star-Lord in Infinity War where he's like, "Listen, that plan's great, except it sucks. So let me do the plan."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's Kevin
Well,
Feige. He's like, "That's great, except it sucks.
it
So let
sucks.
them write the script."
Yeah. And like episodes 2 and 3, I heard episode 2 was originally episode 1. And we
Mhm.
didn't have the bullseye fight and everything in the
Oh,
first episode. We didn't have any of that. We didn't
yeah.
have any of the returning cast
Mm,
aside from Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I'm so glad that they wrote the ship. Yeah, and reshoots aren't always a bad thing. In this case, reshoots were a really good thing.
Yeah.
They took what they filmed for the original script, you know, the law procedural stuff of White Tiger, but then filled in the blanks and gave us a satisfying soft continuation. The way I look at Daredevil Born Again, it's like you just got done with a really good run in the
Hmm.
comics of Daredevil, and now you're going into the Frank Miller run. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's still the same characters, but a different creative and a different
Yeah.
tone and story. And but you're still playing in the same sandbox. Well, in this case, you're playing in an expanded sandbox, the MCU sandbox,
Yeah.
but still retaining what happened in the Netflix series.
Right. Yeah. Because the
Um,
Netflix
which
series
I
was
think
always
that's
like pseudo
uh,
MCU, like
yeah. Oh,
MCU when it's
remember?
convenient.
Yeah, they were like, oh, remember the event?
Yeah. It's like MCU when it's convenient for it to be MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like Agents of Shield
Yeah.
really tried to be connected to the MCU, and the movies just completely
Just
ignored
totally
it.
ignored it.
Um,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, remember the event?
Yeah.
Remember when that big green guy fought the purple guy? That's basically how it was.
Yeah.
But uh, I just hope give us another hallway scene. I mean, we kind of got one with Bullseye.
Yeah.
Stairwell scene. Give us a proper hallway scene.
I love a
And
good hallway scene. Good hallway fight scene. It's the
but
best.
in the latest episode, there's a really good dialogue between Frank and Matt,
Hmm.
and I'm so excited to see that again.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Um, oh, and yeah, just finished Invincible as well.
Oh hell yeah.
got to the conquest fight. That I would definitely recommend that one if you've been sleeping on it.
Nice.
That'll be a good one have you seen season one or any of
No,
it?
I've not watched any of it.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, better for you. Now you got three seasons uh
Yeah. No,
get through.
we've been watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember. Yes.
Yeah.
I
We're on
think
season 4 right now, Zeo Rangers.
that's awesome.
It's pretty good
I, I
stuff.
I think you two would very much so enjoy Invincible though. I think it'd be right up your alley.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, unless you got
No,
some more thoughts,
no,
we wrap this
just
one up.
wanted to report on AC Shadows, really.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
give us your quick general consensus just to end this one.
If you liked Origins and Odyssey, then you'll probably and you like Japan settings, you'll probably like this one.
Sounds good to me.
That's that's essentially all of these reviews come down to that.
No, honestly, I
They
do look
come
forward to
down
buying it. And
they
you know
yeah,
what?
that's
Maybe I won't wait for a sale. Maybe I'll just run it on my credit card and hey, it could help me build my credit.
help you
There's
build your
more bill to
credit.
pay, right?
Yeah.
Just pay it on time, right? Um, because I am intrigued and especially the now way stuff, the stealth
Yeah.
stuff, because
Now
that's what I want.
Naoi's cool. She's fun to play
That's
as. Yeah.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
And it looks good. This um and I feel like the Yasuke combat that looks like just a fun kind of
Yeah, it's
when you if you get bored of the style for a while, switch over to. Oh
yeah.
yeah, I forgot to ask you. We were gonna end this, but I have another question about the game.
Uh
How does the switching work? Is it like GTA style? Like
I'm not to the point where you can like regularly switch between them. I've
okay.
just played like been able to play some sequences as them
Also,
so
how's like
far.
the modern day stuff that
So far there's very little of it.
I mean it's an afterthought in most Assassins,
It does
especially the new ones.
it kind of seems like it's doing the thing that Unity did, where it's like you, the player, are
You're
the one that's
the
experiencing this.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it gets
I miss
deeper than that or
Desmond.
not.
Is it the protagonist we got in Odyssey? The modern day I forget her
Oh
name.
yeah,
Either the one
she
that was in Odyssey or
is
in
dead,
Valhalla.
maybe.
Okay.
Well, at the ending of Valhalla, no, yeah, the ending of Valhalla is um what? I mean, I assume you don't mind if I spoil.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
the ending of Valhalla is that um Basim, who
Is
they find Basim and Eivor and Sigurd. I don't remember the characters' names.
okay.
They find a precursor site where they like can be suspended, like suspended animation type of thing.
Okay.
And Eivor tricks Basim into getting in that and traps him in it. And then the modern day protagonist finds Basim, and then he tricks her into taking his place. So
Oh.
Valhalla ends with Basim showing up at the modern day
So
assassins.
Basim's in the modern day now?
Basim's in the modern day, yeah,
You know what? I mean, what's stopping?
or Loki, I guess, because
He's Loki.
he's Loki.
So when I'm playing Mirage, I'm
Well,
playing Loki. Or no, that's
because
before.
yeah, so when you're playing in the Assassin's Creed games, there's the sages who are
Yeah, yeah.
the
And wasn't
modern day.
Edward Kenway wasn't one, but he got
No,
mixed up in it.
Robert Roberts
Yeah,
was
did
a
Robert?
sage, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
the sages are there's more sages out there, and they're all
yeah, yeah,
like modern day reincarnations.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And with some of them, sometimes the consciousness of the precursor person sometimes will manifest and take over. Sometimes they don't.
Oh,
Eivor is Odin,
well,
and
that
Bas
was obvious.
and Basim is Loki,
Okay,
and Sigurd, Eivor's brother, is uh
Thor? No, not Thor. That
no,
was
Thor is one of the other characters in Valhalla. Ragnar's son, one of those guys.
okay.
Uh Balder,
Balder. Okay.
I think. The guy who loses his arm to
Okay.
Fenrir or
Okay.
whatever. Um, I don't remember. So
So now
Bat
Bassam
so Bassam in the
is
events,
Loki.
yeah,
He's
so
the avatar of.
yeah, so Bassam in the events of Mirage is still Bassam,
Right.
but he's the Loki persona is starting to come out. And
Mm,
by the time you get to Valhalla, he is the Loki persona has taken over. So it's Loki actually is yeah,
that's cool, I guess. I
good
mean,
old
they've always had like the precursor beings either represent the gods or the mythologies come from that. But Bassam is in modern day now.
yeah.
Again, imagine, and I feel like the only way this could work, the only way this could work is it was a pure stealth, like Metal Gear style, like pure stealth action game,
Hmm.
a modern Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's called Watch Dogs.
Okay, but better.
But the Watch Dogs games are pretty much modern day
No,
Assassin's
it's
Creed.
connected to it and everything. I know that.
Well,
But
Ubisoft will not admit
but
that
like
they
some of the
actually are.
Desmond missions you got,
Yeah.
they gave us little hints of that, and that was like
Oh, yeah.
10, 15 years ago.
Like in
But
AC3, you
yeah,
got to do like the parkouring on a skyscraper shit. That was cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how well that would sell because Assassin's Creed is always the main shtick of it is the actual setting. You
Yeah,
get to
it's
be in an immersive historical
the
setting.
historical tourism
So just you're
thing.
just a
Yeah.
guy in a white hoodie with a gun. Um, and
Yeah.
maybe a knife kill every once in a while. But
Just take
but I
the
think it could work.
it could.
It
Yeah.
could work.
You
You
could do a
have
like a
Silence
Splinter Cell
Crystal,
type of
Splinter,
thing.
or well, that's also Ubisoft, which is a IP they've neglected.
Yeah.
But but anyways, I think we'll end it there.
Yeah.
Uh, have a great rest of your day. Hope you had a good morning. Hope you had some good coffee, maybe a donut, maybe an egg McMuffin, not sponsored. I had an egg McMuffin this morning.
Nice.
Honestly, I think it's McDonald's best sandwich.
It is. It's
I
the
think their
only
breakfast, I think McDonald's
it's
breakfast is their best
it's
stuff.
the only thing I really ever get from McDonald's because I
Yeah.
generally don't go to McDonald's.
But
But
their breakfast, imagine
egg McMuffins
just
are good
a
though. Yeah.
McDonald's joint, and this would make buku bucks. A McDonald's joint that is just McDonald's breakfast all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Well, they did for a long time.
Did they?
They did do all day breakfast, but they stopped like
Yeah, now the
around
cutoff is at
around
like
like COVID or something like that. They stopped
cutoff's at
doing that.
10:30 at most locations, I
Yeah,
think. Um,
which is lame
but yeah, McDonald's breakfast.
because I want a late night egg
A late
McMuffin.
night, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, sounds
I
awesome.
could go for that. Anyways, enjoy some Vivaldi, and we will see you next week with a very special episode of the Odd Drunk Pod. Stay
Yeah,
tuned. Um, and hope you have a good day. Treat each other well. Treat yourself well, and don't be
uh,
don't be a Templar, or the assassins are gonna get you.
or yeah,
Okay.
don't get got by
Who?
the
Oh yeah,
assassin.
who's like the? Is it the Templars or their agents? What
I'm
is?
not far enough in
I
to.
just have more questions that keep
I'm
popping up
not
in my
far enough
head.
in.
All right. Well, don't be
Yeah,
a order of an agent.
don't be a
Or
weird masked guy who is obviously a bad guy. And
yeah, don't be obviously a bad guy, okay?
yeah,
Because some guy in a white hoodie with an Italian accent is gonna get you.
that's what happened.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, that's modern day Assassin's Creed. Got
Just
him.
TikTok.
Got him. Oh, jeez. Oof.
Okay. Till next week.
That's good.